The present elections are not just routine elections. The present elections are very, very critical for the country and its future. In order to defeat BJP, in order to save the nation, save the constitution, save secularism, federalism, this is what we have been saying. BJP is nothing but a political arm or wing of RSS whose ideology is divisive, sectarian, communal, fascist. That is how we characterize. So it is a new situation. Here, how to fight the right-wing forces. And several BJP leaders, RSS leaders talked about replacing the constitution. That is how it became an issue. Prime Minister Modi had to say, even Mr. Ambedkar comes back, he cannot change the constitution. The present regime has become corporate houses ka saath. They are for corporate houses, big business houses, Ambanis, Adanis. Who are the wealth creators? Prime Minister thinks only corporate houses like Adanis, Ambanis, they are the wealth creators. What about agricultural workers? What about the factory workers? What about the office going employees? Everybody is working. Everybody is contributing for the development of the country. Left is the future. Our future belongs to left. And how we are going to take this process forward, that is up to us as political parties.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Statesman Talk with me, Deepthi J. Verma. Today we are being joined by columnist, author, Marxist scholar and the General Secretary of the CPI, Mr. D.Raja. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We're going to start with the election mood in the country. The CPI contested against Rahul Gandhi in Wayanad. Does that talk of a kind of lack of understanding, a pre-poll understanding between the two partners, considering they're part of the India bloc together? And also, my second part of the question is, does that show less faith in him as a prime ministerial candidate in a post-poll scenario?
It is not so.
Okay.
As far as Kerala is concerned, it is known to everybody. The main electoral battle is between LDF and UDF. And within LDF, our party CPI gets 4 seats. Wayanad is one of the 4 seats. So our party, on the basis of our understanding within LDF, we announced the candidate. Congress party announced Mr. Rahul Gandhi as its candidate. That is how it should be looked at. And we are part of India bloc. Congress is also part of India bloc. But the situation varies in some states. For instance, Andhra Pradesh, we have understanding with Congress party. In Telangana, we didn't have understanding. The same way, Jharkhand, we didn't have understanding. But in Bihar, we have understanding with RJD. Congress is also there. Like that, there are some variations in the situation in states. Otherwise, we are for India bloc winning the elections. And in fact, our party, left parties, were the first to be in the entire united move in order to defeat BJP, in order to save the nation, save the constitution, save secularism, federalism. This is what we have been saying. So I don't think it is a problem. But people understand this with a correct perspective.
Your wife, Annie Raja, is contesting from Wayanad.
Yes.
Yeah. So did you campaign?
Here also there is a correction.
Okay.
She happens to be my wife, that's one thing. But because she is my wife, she is not candidate.
Okay.
She is one of the leaders of our party.
Of your party.
She is member of the national executive of my party. She is the General Secretary of National Federation of Indian Women. On her own,
She's a very strong candidate.
yes, it is not just she has become candidate because she happens to be my wife. That is not
Okay.
the issue.
Have you campaigned for her?
I went there.
Yeah.
I went to campaign for LDF. I traveled from Thiruvananthapuram to Kasargod, addressing meetings for LDF candidates. And of course, that includes Wayanad also. I went there. I spoke for her.
You just said that how the left is playing a strong role in fighting against the current regime, on values of federalism and liberalism. Uh, in the past, we've seen like there were stalwarts like A.B. Bhardan and some CPI leaders who played a stronger role in uniting the opposition back in the day. Do you think this time the left is slightly weaker in uniting the opposition against the current regime? Or you think it's playing an equally important role?
Left is important in the given situation in the country, in the emerging situation in the country.
Okay.
And you are right, when Comrade Bardhan was there, Comrade Surjit was there,
Yeah.
it was a different time. They were senior leaders, stalwarts. They played their role. Now we are in a different situation. Here, the right wing forces have captured power. BJP has come to power, and BJP is in power for the past 10 years. And BJP is nothing but a political arm or wing of RSS whose ideology is divisive, sectarian, communal, fascist. That is how we characterize. So it is a new situation. Here, how to fight the right wing forces, the communal fascist forces. And here, ideologically, the left is the most consistent, uncompromising, committed force fighting the right wing fascist forces. This is what we try to do in the given situation, what we can do. And after the Karnataka Assembly elections, the first meeting was held in Patna.
Okay.
And the left parties, CPI, CPM, we were present in the meeting. In fact, I suggested this initiative must be taken forward and we must bring some more secular democratic parties into our fold. That was the place where we declared our common resolve
Okay.
to fight together to defeat BJP in order to save the nation and constitution. The common resolve was declared there. Since then, we have been
Because of an initiative.
Yes,
By,
since then we have been working for uniting all secular democratic parties, forces in the struggle against the right wing forces, particularly in the fight against BJP, RSS combined. And we need to save the country. That is how we look at the present elections also. The present elections are not just routine elections as we had in the past. No.
No.
The present elections are very, very critical for the country and its future. And in these elections, we want BJP to be defeated.
You think these were the agendas? You've traveled all over the country during the elections. You think these were the main agendas on which these elections are being fought?
Definitely, because I wrote about that also. The question of constitution has become one of the central issues during these elections, and every party
Is talking about
is
it.
talking about that and taking up it as a serious issue. In fact, I wrote in papers also how constitution has become one of the central themes in these elections because it is BJP RSS combined started talking about replacing the present constitution. If BJP comes to power with 400,
They have never really said it.
no, they never said it as a political party, but
Yeah.
several leaders have been
You
speaking.
think there's an undercurrent?
Several leaders have been openly saying if we come to power with 400 strength, then this constitution can be replaced. And in fact, one member of the Economic Advisory Council of Prime Ministers, he wrote this constitution has lapsed, it needs to be replaced. And several BJP leaders, RSS leaders talked about replacing the constitution. That is how it became an issue. Prime Minister Modi had to say, even Mr. Ambedkar comes back, he cannot change the
He cannot
constitution.
change the constitution.
You say you will not allow the replacement of the present constitution. That he is not saying. If he is honest, he must openly say, he must openly ask his party leaders and those who are affiliated to his party's ideology not to speak such absurd things. But Prime Minister has not said anything. And he is telling Mr. Ambedkar, if he comes back, he cannot change the constitution. That all we know. You talk about you. What is your understanding? Why you are keeping quiet when your own leaders talk about changing the constitution? This is what we are asking. So constitution has become a central issue in these elections because India continues to be a secular democratic republic. But the ideology of RSS doesn't agree with
Elaborate
this.
on that. What do you think of the ideology of RSS? Why do you think it's such a threat to democracy?
Yeah, well, it is known to everybody. When Mr. Ambedkar, Dr. Ambedkar was working on constitution, he was brought under tremendous pressure. He was compelled to declare India as a theocratic state, theocratic
By the
nation.
RSS?
By those who believed in RSS ideology, and Ambedkar emphatically rejected. And Ambedkar went to the extent of saying, if at all India becomes a theocratic nation, India becomes a Hindu Raj, that will be the calamity for the nation. It is none other than Ambedkar said. And now we are facing such a calamity, and how to save the nation from such a calamity. That is one of the serious issues before the electorate in these elections.
You know, the Marxist ideology is always talked about a casteless, classless society. Mr. Rahul Gandhi is pushing for a caste census, which some are viewing as being a very divisive thing to do. Whereas PM Modi talks about Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. Still, how do you see their two ideologies and how do you favor one over the other?
One should understand these things properly. One is, you are right, the communist ideology or the communists in India.
Yeah.
We are fighting for a casteless,
Society.
classless society. And we stand for equality of all citizens. We stand for justice, social, political, and economic for all our citizens. This is one part. The other part, what we can do
To bridge the gap.
immediately. How to help the deprived sections, the discriminated sections to come up, and they should also have empowerment, economic, social empowerment. How to do that? For which certain data is necessary. That is where the caste
Census comes in.
yes, but, even after the reservation given to SC, ST, OBC people were not getting reservation. Then Kaka Kalelkar Commission, later on the Mandal Commission. And Mandal Commission did take up the issue with all seriousness and tried to collect data. And it is Mandal Commission which proposed 27% reservation to OBCs. So it went to do some socio-economic analysis. Now 2011, there was some attempt. After that, nothing happened. No census in the country, no proper data available. Suddenly, during BJP regime, when Mr. Modi is Prime Minister, they brought one legislation to provide reservation, 10% reservation to economically weaker sections. What data they got? And Supreme Court ceiling is there. reservation cannot go beyond 50%. Now, these 10%, how they could bring 10% reservation to so called weaker sections, economically weaker sections? So, there are many questions involved. Here, the government of the day should have proper data in order to formulate adequate policies in order to help the weaker sections, socially, educationally backward sections. That is where the caste census is being talked about.
Okay.
And we also don't oppose caste census as communists. When Bihar government took up that issue, our party is part of the Mahagathbandhan, CPI, CPM, ML, we are all part of Gathbandhan. We all agreed, yes, caste census is necessary. In other places also, whenever that question is taken up, we are very positive towards that, because in state like Tamil Nadu, there is a different uh, situation. In Tamil Nadu, SC, ST, OBC, they all get reservation. They are beyond 65%. Then it is happening because that is one state where the fight for social justice has been going on for decades. So in other states, there are problems we are trying to address. The question is how to help those people who have been discriminated for decades, who have been economically exploited, politically marginalized, socially discriminated. What to do for their empowerment? What to do for their progress in life?
How would you answer an accusation by the PM when he says the left in the country is against economic development, and if they come to power in any kind of makeup, they will resist economic development?
What he means by economic development, that's what he must explain. You also referred, he talks about sabka saath, sabka vikas.
Yeah.
But is he sabka saath? I am asking you. Is he kisan ka saath, mazdoor ka saath? I am directly asking.
Yeah.
He only told when he became prime minister, he will see the income of farmers is doubled. Income of farmers will be doubled. Now, what is the situation now? Farmers are asking for minimum support price. Prime Minister, his government decided to give Bharat Ratna to Ms. Swaminathan, who is no more. All right, it is good, Swaminathan should be honored. But it is Swaminathan Commission which recommended minimum support price for the farmers. What is the condition of our farmers today? Farmers are committing suicide due to indebtedness, and farmers are committing suicide because they don't get adequate price for their produce, and farmers are agitating. You all know how farmers from Punjab, Haryana, Western UP, they all gathered around Delhi. Finally, during their agitation, more than 700 farmers died. Prime Minister should answer all these questions before you talk about sabka saath, sabka vikas. Finally, in reality, what we witness, the present regime has become corporate houses ka saath. They are for corporate houses, big business houses. If I take the names, everybody knows they are all in public domain. Ambanis, Adanis, who have been patronized. Who have patronized these corporate houses.
But you don't think that wealth creation trickles down to the common man?
No, wealth creation, that is where we must understand what is wealth creation. Finally, it is labor power which creates wealth. Manual labor or mental labor, it is labor power which creates wealth. It is labor power which creates surplus value. And the surplus value is taken away by some people claiming to be owners of means of production. That is what is happening. That is where we left. We are fighting against the exploitation of surplus labor exploitation of surplus value. We must understand who are the wealth creators. Prime Minister thinks only corporate houses like Adani's, Ambani's, they are the wealth creators. What about the agricultural workers? What about the factory workers? What about the office going employees? Yeah, everybody is working, everybody is contributing for the development of the country, creating wealth. But this wealth, it is the question of distribution of wealth. This wealth is not distributed with an equitable manner to all citizens. It is taken away, exploited by a few.
Where do you
That is
see?
why
Yeah.
inequality in India, unprecedented inequality in India. How it happened? Yeah, that's what Mr. Modi should explain.
Okay, and when you're talking about the labor class, all over the world, they're saying that AI will replace jobs, right? Where do you see, this cause for the labor class? Do you think it'll still hold water with so many jobs being replaced?
You talk about artificial intelligence, but artificial intelligence also should have some human brain. Artificial intelligence doesn't emerge on its own. Who creates artificial intelligence?
But
Finally, it
I'm
is.
talking about the labor
No,
class here.
labor
Yeah.
class means what? Yeah, that is why I'm saying those who do manual laborer,
Yeah.
they are also laborer. Those who work on computers, robotics, they are also, yeah, laborers. Finally, they all belong to the same class. Somebody may be mental. The people work with their brain.
Yeah.
Some people will be with
Talking about physical labor. If they get
physical
replaced
labor.
by robots,
That's
then
what I'm saying. Both workers who do physical labor, those who workers who do mental work, brain work, they all belong to the same class. That's what we should try to understand. And yeah, some people may talk about artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence will play an important role in the production process,
yeah.
in creating surplus value. That all as communists we understand. But artificial intelligence will not emerge on its own. It also requires human brain, human labor. That's what one should understand.
Another point that usually comes up is that is Rahul Gandhi inspired by the Marxist ideology? In your interactions with him, do you think he is, or where do you see him on the political spectrum?
Everyone will be influenced by Marxist ideology or communist ideology. Because what is the communist ideology? What it means? It means there should be liberty, equality, fraternity among all our citizens. This is what Constitution also says. So we stand for equality of all citizens. We stand for liberty of all citizens. We stand for fraternity among citizens. Despite there are diverse faiths and other things. This is what one should understand. The communists stand for the unity of all citizens, harmony among all citizens. It will be, it will influence everybody, including Mr. Rahul Gandhi, including Mr. Rahul Gandhi. All said and done, yeah, people are referring to Jawaharlal Nehru and other things. And it was Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru who took the initiative for planning commission, who took the initiative as first prime minister to lay the foundations for public sector undertakings, heavy industries. How India became relatively strong and self-reliant because of strong foundations we had. Now, what is that Mr. Modi is doing now? Let him explain. What is Mr. Modi doing? Despite his tall claims of development, what is that? Viksit Bharat.
Viksit Bharat,
Yeah,
by 2047.
yes, despite that, what is his contribution for the development of yeah, Indian economy? I want to ask, what is the his contribution? His 10-year rule. What is the contribution made by Ms. Modi? Even he could not generate jobs for our young people. He promised 2 crore jobs per year. Now 10 years, 20 crore jobs. Let him say how many crores of jobs have been created. Let him discuss during election campaign. Let him interact with people, giving data, how many crores of jobs he has created. And he claimed that he will unearth black money and every citizen will get 15 lakh rupees in the account. What happened to that? How many citizens got 15 lakh rupees in their accounts? Let him say. But what is happening today? The foreign debt is increasing, unprecedented. India is a country which is getting more foreign debt, and every citizen will have to pay for foreign debt. This is the contribution of Mr. Modi. That is why Mr. Modi resorts to rhetorics, theatrics, but in reality, his government has become disastrous. Disastrous for the
So you
economy.
think that 400 mark will not, what they've been claiming, will not be met?
It is a hyperbolic claim. How the NDA can get 400 seats or BJP can get 370 seats. What is the basis? And you travel across the country, there is anger against the misrule, misgovernance of Ms. Modi.
And how many seats do you think the India bloc will get?
The India bloc will get comfortable majority.
You think they'll form the government?
Yes.
And the left?
And the outcome will be for change of government.
Change of government. And the left?
Left will get a reasonably good number because the presence of left is a must in the emerging
I want
situation.
to talk
in the
about
country.
that. Even if it's not electorally very strong and it's been on a decline, ideologically, politically, and philosophically, the left remains a strong pillar, in any society. Why do you think the relevance continues?
No, you see, sometimes the presence of left in parliament or in state legislative assemblies may be small, maybe small. There is a gap between the ideological influence and the electoral performance of the left. As left, we do realize that, we do keep analyzing why it is happening. And the ideological influence is high, continues to be high. And now let us see, even the very word justice, social, political, and economic, or as you began, casteless, classless society, India, or you can say socialist India. Yeah, because which party is not using that word socialist? Even Mr. Vajpayee talked about Gandhian socialism, you remember. So, democratic socialism, scientific socialism. What I am trying to say, in the emerging situation, not only in India, in the whole world,
Yeah.
the Marxist ideology,
Still thrives.
it thrives and it gives hope for the future.
And talking about the world, I think you said in one of the interviews about the Russian-Ukraine situation that the NATO has to be disbanded for any kind of resolution. Let's talk about that, and also about the rise of the right wing all across the world. Do you think it's a cyclical thing, and the left will still hold its, its power in a way, and it'll come back?
Definitely, because Russia, Ukraine, I wrote openly that NATO should go. What is NATO? Why NATO should be there? Why NATO should expand itself, taking countries from Europe or Asia and every part of the world to be part of NATO? Why NATO is needed now? And Russia, Ukraine, NATO is the primary reason for the conflict, for the war that is going on. Today, what is happening between Palestine and Israel? Why Palestinian people should suffer? And United Nations passed a resolution, two-state solution. Why Israel is not agreeing? Why US is not agreeing? We should take note of all these things. And India always stood for Palestinian cause, Palestinian people since days of Mahatma Gandhi. And now, what is the position? So there are many questions, and you should not think because I am a communist, I am saying this. But as a person who thinks scientifically, who thinks with a social commitment, I think left as the solution for the future. Even in Latin America, you take any country, left has been playing an important role. In Europe, you take any country. Yes, as you said, right wing forces become aggressive. But in order to save the people, left is the only reliable force. And in Europe, you can see in different countries. It's same way in Asia, including our own country, India. Left is the future. Our future belongs to left. And how we are going to take this process forward, that is up to us as political parties.
Yeah, that would be my last question. If you look at the like if you want to engage the youth again, do you think you will keep your ideology as pure as it was, or you think there should be some some changes or some adaptations?
No, there is no pure ideology or impure ideology.
Yeah.
Ideology is there.
It'll stay the
How
way.
to apply that ideology to our own conditions?
Yeah. Okay.
Our own conditions. So it is the question of application of Marxist ideology to Indian conditions.
Okay.
Lenin applied Marxist ideology to Russian conditions, and he could lead the revolution. In the same way, China, Mao applied Marxist ideology to Chinese conditions. That's why today they are talking about building socialism with Chinese characteristics.
And what do you think that should be
In
in
the
India?
same way in India,
Yeah.
India,
For example?
when we talk of India, one, there is class division, economic exploitation, class division. The other one, caste hierarchy. The third one, patriarchy. And as CPI, I think these major issues will have to be addressed.
How?
That is where we need to go to the people. We need to address the people's concerns. Now, the issues of livelihood of the people. What are those issues of livelihood? Mr. Modi doesn't speak. That is education, healthcare, employment, housing, food.
You think the state should take more
Yes.
responsibility?
Otherwise, so what is the need for government? What is the task of the government? If government doesn't address the basic issues of livelihood of the people, and if we want to guarantee this basic livelihood for the people, then we will have to think of other issues. That is where I think India is a country which has the caste system. Dr. Ambedkar said, you can talk of any number of economic reforms, political reforms, but wherever you go, you have to cross the monster of casteism.
Yeah.
So unless you kill that monster, you cannot move forward, progress. This is what Dr. Ambedkar said. And caste system, even the day before or yesterday, today papers are carrying, and a Dalit bridegroom went in a procession in the so-called upper caste streets. They were attacked in Gwalior. So such things keep happening. And on one side, we talk about Chandrayaan, we talk about praising ISRO, but on the ground, what is happening? How our people are divided in the name of caste, and how our people are killed, atrocities against Dalits, Adivasis, atrocities against women. Why these atrocities should happen? That is where the left ideology has a role to play to influence the thinking of the people in changing the mindset of the uh, people. Because you can change the mind, but very difficult to change the
The conditioning,
mindset.
yeah, the conditioning.
So there, as left, we go to young people and we try to ideologically uh, tell them and how they must emerge as new citizens, new hopes for the country. So we are concentrating in building our youth students movement. We are putting all our efforts in bringing women and strengthening our women movement. It is all going. Besides strengthening our trade unions, Kisan movements, this part is also going on. So ideological, political uh, education and movements
It's
are
going on.
important in the given situation in our country. We are trying our best.
All right. Thank you, D.Raja ji. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for this conversation.
Thank you.
If you like this episode, don't forget to share it and also like, share, and subscribe to all our socials. They are listed below. And stay tuned for more such podcasts.